Well, about as live as we can be, at least for now. We're at Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm Chuck Mraz, and this is This Week in Morehead State Athletics. In just a moment, after we take our break, we'll be talking with two members of the media relations staff for the athletic departments, Ryan Fry and Ted McCourt. We'll be talking about the goings-on with various other sports besides football. Of course, we'll be talking later on in the show with a Morehead State football player and head coach Rob Tenyer about the big game this Saturday at 4 p.m. at Jane Stadium. Make your plans now to be there against Kentucky Christian University. This is family weekend on the Morehead State campus, and as part of the overall celebration, hopefully we'll be celebrating a Morehead State football victory as of about 7 o'clock that evening. Of course, we'll be talking with a whole bunch of people today, and we'll be playing some trivia. So without further ado, let's take a break right here. Come back with more from Buffalo Wild Wings in Morehead on This Week in Morehead State Athletics. And welcome back to Buffalo Wild Wings in Morehead. I'm Chuck Mraz, your host for This Week in Morehead State Athletics, joined by two members of the Media Relations Department for Athletics, Ted McCourt.
How we doing?
Good. How are we doing? I didn't know this was a group question.
Ryan, how are you doing?
Is that going to be part of the trivia?
Yeah,
how we do?
Yeah.
If you're stumped for an answer, you're probably not going to do well with the trivia,
That's
right?
That's fact, yeah.
Also, Ryan Fry, of course, with us, and let's talk about some of the other goings-on in athletics. As folks know, the football team lost last week at Illinois State, 42-14, then plays Kentucky Christian this weekend at 4 at Jane Stadium, but some other doings in athletics. One thing that just came out, a new release that I saw earlier today, and this is from you, Ted. Excellent writing, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much, yeah.
That
really appreciate that. Matt Shaber would like to hear that.
Women's basketball coach, I'll put in, when you need references, you can put me down.
Okay.
Greg Todd, women's basketball coach, has received a contract extension.
Yeah, big news today for the Morehead State women's basketball program. Greg Todd, deserving of a 4-year extension to stick around as the women's basketball coach through the 2022-23 season. Compiled 66 wins over the past 3 seasons, that's combined, which is unparalleled in the Ohio Valley Conference more than any other coach. He's also taken the Eagles to 2 women's NIT tournaments, and last year they defeated Ohio State, which was just a really tone-setting win for the program, and really shows how much Coach Todd has grown that program in his 5 seasons here and why he deserves the extension.
Yeah, you mentioned that. I think 3 straight 20-plus win seasons, and that's the only time it's been done in the program's history.
Yeah, the first time it's been done. 24 wins last year was the most since the 1978-79 season, and so that was almost 40 years ago. So he's really taken the program to a new level, nationally recognized, and he's bringing in some great recruits, done a great job out on the recruiting trail, bringing in some really high-level student athletes that are really fun to watch, and their brand of basketball is fun, up and down the floor, scoring points, leading the conference in scoring, at the top of the conference, at least in scoring the past couple of years, and it's just a lot of fun to work with Coach Todd, and I was glad to see him receive that contract extension.
Well, Ted, you're talking about the stats there. You forgot some of the more important stats, the defensive stats, tops in the conference in blocks each of the last couple of years.
Yeah, that's one thing that Coach Todd and his staff, associate head coach Dominique Duck, that they really harp on defense also, like you said, and it's just impressive what he's done with the women's basketball program.
You know, and you talked about the win over Ohio State. A lot of people don't know how close the MSU women were to advancing another round. They played Western Kentucky down in Bowling Green, another great program, and nearly won that game.
Yeah, and if you talk to the women on the team, they think that it was a they should have won that one. They let it kind of get away, but yeah, so close to making the NIT Sweet 16, which would have just been a huge step. But to beat Ohio State, a Power 5 program, they have all the resources in the world. To walk into their gym and beat them, that's just a huge program win, the biggest win in program history, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I would almost compare it almost to the level of the win that Morehead State had over Louisville in the NCAA tournament back in 2011. For the women, that victory was of the same magnitude in many ways.
Yeah, it definitely was, and it shows with the levels of recruits. like a top 100, former ESPN top 100 player, Gabby Crawford from Ole Miss, transferring in. You know, people see the success that Coach Todd and the program are having, and they want to be a part of it.
All right, let's talk a little bit about volleyball right now. Ryan, I know that's your sport. Volleyball team's off to a great start.
Great start, 5-1, and had a perfect weekend last weekend. Swept all 3 matches and did it with some flair as well. 3 members of the team named the all-tournament team, including the tournament MVP and this week's Ohio Valley Conference Offensive Player of the Week, Olivia Lohmeyer.
Well, what makes the women's team so good in your opinion?
Well, right now it's the ability to score from just about any angle on the floor, and that's the mark of 2 great setters. Maybe one of the only teams in the country that have 2 setters over 10 assists per set, and they're splitting sets evenly right now. And the caliber of hitters on the outside, Olivia Lohmeyer and Lauren Roque, as well as the play of the middle blockers in the back row, it's a total team effort right now, Chuck.
Well, head coach Jamie Gordon, who's also the interim AD at this point, has done a good job. He had several successful seasons, then hit kind of a low point for the program, but he's rebuilt it back into a contender in the OVC.
Yeah, back to being a contender. Won 21 games a year ago for the first time since 2013, and that was the last time the program went to the NCAA tournament and won the OVC. And if you look at the slate of games they have coming up this weekend, 3 Power 5 opponents, that's going to be a great test to see where this team is. They're 5-1 right now, and this is a great final test, one of the final tests heading into next week, or heading into OVC play.
I'm really excited to see how Olivia Lohmeyer does against these Power 5 schools. She's got the talent. She's got that Power 5 talent, and I'm really excited to watch her over this weekend play those Power 5 schools, see how she does.
It was mentioned to some of us by Nate Gatter, who filled in on ESPN Plus this week for us, that she is capable of sliding right into an SEC lineup, and we've seen that, through 31 matches last year en route to the Player of the Year, and we've seen that through 6 matches this year. She already at 90-plus kills, including a career-high 25 in the first time she set foot on the floor this year.
I want to tell you something. Over the weekend on Sunday evening, I had a chance to meet 2 of the young ladies from the volleyball team in a restaurant here in town as I was standing around and waiting for a drink. And they were doing about the same thing. They were in line with me, and they had seen my Morehead State shirt on. We got to conversing about some things, and the one thing they want is their own turnover cane.
That would be something else. I don't know what you would implement in volleyball, but that would be that'd be fun.
All 17 members of that team are very creative. I'm sure if tasked with it coming up this weekend, they could get that done.
Well, I told them that on our way home from the Illinois State game, we stopped at one of these gas station. It's got all the convenience store with it and the restaurant attached. I won't give the brand name, but at the same time when we were walking through there, we noticed they were selling canes. And the first thing I noticed on the top of those canes was an eagle head, and the eagle underneath it was a skull. And I told them about it. I said, well, it'd really be cool to have one of those. I said, well, next time we go through there, or if I see one, I'm going to grab one and give it to Coach Gordon, and you guys can paint it up and use it for whatever purpose you want.
That would be a very pleasant addition at a volleyball match at Johnson Arena for sure.
I'll ask you this, from your perspective, guys, in working in media relations, the turnover cane was something that was done for the football team, and it's been something they did just for fun, just to have a little fun on the sidelines after Morehead State recovers a fumble or intercepts a pass. But at the same time, this thing has gained a lot of national traction. Are you surprised?
It's been incredible. It really has. We saw it take off that night, and I'm not surprised. It's great that we have a platform like ESPN Plus now to broadcast all of our games on it, and it's been awesome. It's made Morehead State cool, which is it's always good to see.
Well, and that reaches students out there who might be considering other schools for college or whatever, high school students, and they see this. They say, man, that must be a cool place to go.
And it's neat too when you're being talked about in the same breath as the U. Obviously, we know the turnover chain, the turnover cane. The only thing I've seen that maybe rivals the cane is I believe Akron had a pencil.
Yeah, the Akron
pencil.
turnover pencil. Don't know where that came from, but
That's
But
weak.
you know,
I
I'll
can't
put
compare the
I'll
cane.
put the turnover cane up against anybody in the country.
Yeah, I think I would rather have a cane than a pencil.
Yep.
I mean, the only thing you can do with the pencil is homework. And who wants to do that if
That's
you don't
right.
have to do that? But I just thought it's been a lot of fun to see how that's gained some national attention, and hopefully it will continue for a while. And hopefully Morehead State's defense will continue to generate turnovers so it can get that kind
Well,
of attention.
you talk about that, Chuck. They rank number 1 in the FCS with 5 interceptions. So the cane is being put to good use.
And we also had a couple of fumble recoveries here
Oh, yeah.
in the Illinois State game. So, yeah, you're right. You're right. Well, what about soccer, Ryan Fry? Tell me a little bit about
Well,
that.
let's let Ted field that one.
All right, Ted,
so
you
Morehead State soccer is back in action tomorrow. Froyo Friday.
and I didn't get you a card. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Well, you can catch me next time. But Morehead State soccer hosting Wright State tomorrow at 6 p.m. And
Froyo, was that like a character in The Hobbit, or?
it is a type of frozen yogurt, I believe, actually, that if we're being technical. But yeah, so first 100 fans in attendance get a free coupon for a free Froyo courtesy of Chickabiddy.
All right, there you go.
And that's a new promotion that we're putting on this year for Friday home soccer and volleyball events. So exciting stuff. But the Soccer Eagles looking to bounce back from a tough weekend, losing in double overtime with 4 seconds remaining.
Oh, boy.
To Miami of Ohio, a tough loss. And then going on the road to Indiana and, losing 5-0 against a really tough Indiana team that was looking to really take it to someone after some tough losses this season. But Coach Lipka's had the team practicing hard this week, and they've been really working at improving their attack. And, they've had 3 newcomers score goals, or 3 new players score goal for their first career goals this year, which has been big. So, it's a real youth movement right now for Morehead State soccer. Exciting to watch. So if you're out and about on Friday evening, come over to the MSU Rec and Wellness field behind the AAC and check out the Morehead State soccer team. Beautiful venue to watch soccer at also.
Yeah, you can sit up on the hill behind the playing surface, or there is a set of stands on the one side. I did notice a set of small bleachers.
Yeah, the hill right there located between the Lee Cemetery and the field, the boneyard as I coin it. So,
who are they playing this week?
Wright State on Friday at 6 p.m. and then on Sunday they'll be on the road at Southern Illinois, which will be a good challenge for Morehead State, stepping out of conference and taking on the Salukis this weekend.
The one thing that could be a factor when you talk about this weekend is the heat. We've gone through a nice spell of weather and into another hot spell here. And when you're talking about playing on turf, it's a little more challenging because the turf kind of sucks up the heat and radiates it back up the legs of the players.
No kidding. Yesterday I was out on the field while the women's soccer team was practicing, and it was 96 degrees, I think, but on that turf, 125 at least. It was burning up. It's a real factor that plays into effect in games, I'm sure.
All right, we've got some golf coming up too, I understand.
Yeah, definitely. Got both men's and women's golf coming up, and the men for the first time tee it off on Saturday. Head coach Matthew Martin's squad looking to improve upon their finish at last year's OVC championship, and a lot of momentum surrounding that group as they return Joe Mushong and Cooper Collins, who both have all OVC potential, as well as Zach Viminitz. They have a strong top 3 and a good competition to fill in those final 2 spots. And it also really helps that program that they added former OVC champion Nick Wilkins to the staff, and that was announced today. And Nick has brought that experience. He's the only Eagle to ever play in the NCAA tournament on the men's side, and he's really got those guys, along with Coach Martin, going well. And then on the other side, the women hosting the MSU Greenbrier Invitational on Monday down in Lexington, and a lot of momentum for them as well, as they played well at Eagle Trace a couple weeks ago, and now it's their first tournament setting.
And one last note, cross country will be in action, I guess, the following weekend. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right.
Miami, Ohio.
I believe so.
Yep.
All right. Well, fellas, thanks a lot for sitting in with me during this week in Morehead State Athletics.
Pleasure as always, Chuck.
It's always a good time. We'll catch you at the end of the show, and we'll have a little more fun, but off the air.
Oh, yeah,
That's
lots
right.
of fun. All right,
All right,
thanks,
thanks,
Chuck.
guys. Ryan Fry and Ted McCourt from MSU's Media Relations Department sitting in with me on the show. We'll come back with more from Buffalo Wild Wings here in Morehead on This Week in Morehead State Athletics. Welcome back to Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm Chuck Mraz, and this is This Week in Morehead State Athletics, and we've been joined by Assistant AD for External Affairs, Sarah Hacker. Sarah, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Chuck.
It's been a week, hasn't it?
It has.
Have you missed me?
I have. I've missed you, and we've definitely been busy.
Well, you have. This is family weekend on campus, and with family weekend, there's all sorts of festivities, and I know athletics has its part to play in all of that, too.
Yes, we do. Doing some partnerships with our campus activities board. They do a tailgate that's free for families and students, so that will happen in the AAC parking lot. But to even enhance the environment, we've added a tailgate series, concert series. So this Saturday will be our first concert with, I guess, and it's new to me, but I've heard they're very popular. I'm excited to hear them. Whiskey Business, and it's a band here from the region, and so looking forward to that. They'll start playing at 1:30, and we'll lead right. They'll be finished right before kickoff.
Boy, you know, the game starts at 4 o'clock. Those guys are going to have to be warriors out there in the heat.
Yeah, but that's what we,
That's what
we
they
pay
do.
them for. Yeah. So we, we want to, like we talked about in the past couple weeks, talking about really creating that fan atmosphere, that tailgate experience. So each game we're adding new things, and we hope that our fans will be pleased and they'll continue to come out.
How did the concert series come about? This is something new.
It is. We, with a partnership with Student Government Association, with Colby, that you had on a couple weeks ago, just brainstorming some ideas that would be new, that our fans and our students haven't experienced here. I think there's definitely a lot of opportunity for them to stay on campus, to have this live entertainment. And really, when you think about football and excitement on Saturdays, all those things are included. The tailgating, the food, the smells, music, everything leading up to the actual competition. So this is our first try, and we hope it's a success. And we already have folks lined up for the rest of the home season.
Well, I won't preview those or spoil any of that because we'd like it to be a surprise, and we can talk about the next one on the next show. But you and I have talked about music on game day and how it's a very important part of the ambiance of the event and the experience. If you would maybe add to what I just told our listeners here.
Yeah. So we've been working hard. We're going to be switching music up. Anytime you hear a song that you're familiar with, you start tapping your feet, start clapping your hands. And that's what we want to bring. We don't want to have any dead air to our game day experience. So that goes from when a media timeout happens or a called timeout. We're going to be prepared as an external staff with the partnership with cheerleading and marching band, and we all work on that together. And we create a script that works for all different groups, and we're on the same wavelength, and it works out really well. So there's a lot behind the scenes, and of course, good music, good taste of music is obviously very important for all ages of our fans and our student athletes. But I think music is one of the most important things to any type of event.
It plugs right into some of the other things. Football being an outdoor sport in the fall when the weather's generally pretty decent, there are a lot of things going on. You talk about the music, the game, the sounds and the smells from the grills and the tailgate area. I mean, there's just something about that no other sport captures like football does.
It's true, and that's really what we're trying to build up. So, it's easy right now. With our tailgate area, it's one huge lot, right? And we have several different options for folks. They can buy a tailgate spot every game, or they can actually, for next season, since we're going on our second game, we also sell a tailgate pass for the whole home season. So there's a lot of different options there. And our gates open 4 hours before game time, so plenty of time to socialize and hang out with your friends, family, especially this weekend. We invite all parents coming in town to, take advantage of buying a tailgate spot, and they can contact us at the athletic department and make that arrangement.
Do you go down there and walk the tailgate area before you come into the game?
Well, last home game was my first home game, so I was a little everywhere. I hope to visit with folks this weekend, talk to our season ticket holders, our student athletes, families, students, and really, get their feedback. I mean, that's important. I know we talked a little bit about this in the past. When you're in marketing and you're working in external affairs, you have to be able to take constructive criticism. And I think as a group, that is the one way you can grow. When you listen to your customers and you take in consideration what their thoughts are and what can work and what can't work. But it's always good to be open-minded and work together.
Why do you think that tailgating has become so popular at Morehead State, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, I think it's, we're right here in a beautiful place in Morehead, Kentucky. The venue, the area that we have right next to the stadium, I think it all works out. We have a lot of football fans in this region. And with the success that Coach has, and we continue that all season, it'll start becoming a very popular trend. And we're going to approach families and reach out to them and share with them all the resources that we have available. And we hope that we generate new fans and they catch on, and it just keeps growing and growing. So really excited.
Did I hear correctly that you've actually added, because of the popularity of the tailgating in the lot next to the Academic Athletic Center, that there's also another lot that you've added for tailgating possibly too as well?
Yeah, so the Eagle Chevrolet Buick GMC tailgate zone is the whole area. Up top, we have created a fan zone section where that's actually where the concert Whiskey Business will play on Saturday. We'll be right there on the top, right alongside where the fence area is, so you can see the teams warming up out there and cheerleaders and everything. So be great exposure up there at the top. We have jump house for the kids. That's all free, poster making.
So that's where I should expect to see Ted McCourt.
Yeah, I bet Ted would get a pregame workout, jumping in the inflatable. So I'm sure you can see him. But, one thing that we haven't talked about is our Beakers Buddies, and that's a great opportunity for families to participate in that. It's only $20 for a membership for a Beakers Buddies, and you get in free for all home athletic events. So it's not just football season, it's football, volleyball, basketball. It's free general admission for only $20. And so then it works out. It's very affordable for the family, and then, it starts them out young.
Well, and that's important. You grow your fans early at that young age so they continue to get into the habit, and they look forward to coming to football, basketball, soccer, baseball, volleyball games, what have you.
Yes, sir. Yep.
So that's the important part.
That is.
But when you look ahead to this weekend, family weekend, this is kind of a little different thing because you've got not just your collection of average fans or alums that you'll have, say, on homecoming. You've got a lot of people coming in to see their kids that are going to school at Morehead State, and they're bringing the grandparents with them and possibly some of the friends too. So different atmosphere.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's just going to carry on from what we started with a couple weeks ago. And this could be their first time on campus. Some parents might have helped with move-in day, and that was an exciting time. There was a lot of members of our athletic staff that were out there, so it'd be a neat opportunity to maybe see some familiar faces that we met a couple weeks ago, and they come back for their first ever sporting event. And, I think there'll be some surprises that we do to create that family feel-good type story. I can't give you all that information, but that's where we set the tempo. Their freshman year, their incoming year, they're there with their family, and that's a memory that they can continue to keep. And hopefully their families come back every year for family weekend.
Well, or they come back later on this season because they've had so much fun this weekend.
Exactly. And that's what we want to create, that one Eagle family.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool thing. Again, this is family weekend, and the football game and all the stuff going on around the football game is just a part of what's going on all around campus. There's a lot of things going on.
Definitely, there's a lot of things, and folks can go to the CAB website on the MSU.com MSU.edu, and go to CAB, which is our Campus Activities Board, and they list all the events that are going on throughout the weekend. So a lot of different options to gather and visit with each other. One thing, I know the bookstore will be open on Saturday, obviously in ADUC, but they'll also have a an opportunity for fans to buy merchandise right outside the stadium too on Saturday. So hopefully people will buy some new blue and gold, have some fun tailgating, listen to live music, eat some great food. Actually, Buffalo Wild Wings is our game sponsor for Saturday, so we really appreciate them and what they bring to our athletic department, and then watch the Eagles get a win.
All right, Sarah, thanks so much as always.
Thank you.
That's Sarah Hacker, the Assistant AD in charge of External Affairs at Morehead State University. I'm Chuck Mraz. We'll come back. We'll be playing some trivia in just a moment on This Week in Morehead State Athletics. And we welcome you back to Buffalo Wild Wings in Morehead for This Week in Morehead State Athletics. I'm your host, Chuck Mraz. We're going to play some trivia right now. And one lucky winner, or one person who is picked to sit next to me, is going to be a winner. Sir, what is your name?
Chase Coverdale.
By the way, that wasn't one of the trivia questions.
Oh, I don't get that right?
You got it right, I hope.
All right.
I mean, do I need to see some ID here? Or?
I mean, I can pull it out.
Where are you from?
Lawrence County.
Okay, Lawrence County. A student or?
Yeah, I'm a student here.
Okay, what are you studying?
Exercise science. I'm a senior here.
Okay, so you'll be getting out in the real world soon?
Yep.
It's not all it's cracked up to be. I just want you to know I've been there for a while. If I could turn around and go back, we can trade places. How's that?
No, I don't think I will.
Okay, let's play some trivia. All right, your first question, and it's multiple choice. How many combined national UCA titles has the Morehead State University cheer program won? A, 35, B, 25, or C, 45?
C, 45.
Good job, you got it right. Congratulations. You're 1-0. You're 1-0. See that? All right, you got your own cheering session too. All right. Second question, what is Morehead State, the football team's all-time one-loss record against Kentucky Christian? Is it 10-0, 3-0, or 0-3?
Let's say 0-3.
You're not coming back on the show, you know that, don't you? 3-0, 3-0,
really?
3-0.
Well,
Hopefully it'll be 4-0 this Saturday. All right, so you're 1-1 right now. It's still batting 500. Ted Williams didn't even hit 500, and he was one of the best hitters who ever lived. Okay, next question. The Ohio Valley Conference was formed in 1948 with Morehead State, Murray State, Eastern Kentucky, and Evansville. Which school was the fifth original member of the OVC? A, Louisville, B, Northern Kentucky, or C, Tennessee Tech?
I'm going to go with A, Louisville.
Good job. You got it right. All right.
All right.
2 out of 3. All right. All right. And your final question of the day for the win, but you've already won anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter. Who holds the all-time scoring record for Morehead State women's basketball? A, Julie McGrain, B, Miranda Crockett, or C, China Bozeman?
I'm going to go with C.
You got it right.
All
All right, man. 3 out of 4. Outstanding work. Collect your prize. I couldn't afford one. They don't pay me enough, so you're just going to have to collect it from somebody else. But I appreciate you coming over and playing some trivia.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm Chuck Mraz. We'll come back with more on This Week in Morehead State Athletics right after this. Welcome back to This Week in Morehead State Athletics as we turn to the football segment of our program. We're joined right now by redshirt sophomore safety Star Hutcherson from Fairhope, Alabama. Where is Fairhope?
Fairhope, Alabama. It's on the Gulf Coast of Alabama. If you ever heard of like Orange Beach or Gulf Shores, that's basically where it's located. So
Okay.
basically the beach has been my backyard.
So did you spend a lot of time as a kid at the beach or still when
yeah.
you go home?
Yes, sir. I mean, every time I get a chance to go, I go because, like I say, it's nothing like having a beach in your backyard, really.
Oh, no kidding, no kidding. I guess that's great, though. I mean, you're already at a vacation spot. Where do you go when you vacation? Because you already live on the beach.
Yeah, I mean, since I live there, I mean, they got all types of attractions down there. Got a beach, got a water park. I mean, usually I just go down there to spend time with family and friends whenever I'm there.
I guess you would lead the league in staycations then. Well, Star, the team's off to a 1-1 start right now. Just talk about how you feel about things have gone thus far, especially for your defense.
I feel like for our defense right now we're doing things different from compared to last year. I feel like they're definitely good for our defense this year too. Right now, in terms of like our secondary, I know right now that we lead the nation in picks for FCS, and we claim to keep that this week we play KCU. And also just the schematically defense, I feel like we're doing a lot of different things. We have a lot of moving pieces, and I feel like we have our defensive coordinator, Coach Brenton, is going to put us in the right position, make the right plays.
Yeah, you mentioned that 5 interceptions. There's also been a couple of fumble recoveries too. So you guys have been breaking out the turnover cane on a regular basis during games.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, how do you like that thing, by the way?
It's definitely a good motivation piece. Definitely gives us some more fun on the sideline to actually celebrate with our team. That's what we're trying to do, and actually make the game even more fun.
Yeah, it is fun. It's fun to see it come out. The first game, I didn't realize that you guys were doing that until after the game. Then, as soon as we got some turnovers against Illinois State, I was down looking for it as you guys were coming to the sideline. So it's gotten my attention too. Are you surprised though that it's gotten as much national attention as it's gotten?
Yeah, I mean, the first week, whenever we brought it up against Union, I wasn't expecting it to take off like it did. Because, I mean, other college programs, they got turnover things too. So whenever it did, I was like, wow, that's nice. We got us basically at Morehead State. Basically on the map, got a lot of viral attention, which is good for the program.
Well, Star, I'll ask you this question. How much of forcing turnovers is a mentality? Because it's one thing, you've got to go out there. You've obviously got to make plays on the ball when it's in the air. You've got to make tackles when someone's running with the football. But at the same time, there's always a certain mentality about getting turnovers, isn't there? I mean, forcing the turnovers and getting the ball back.
And that mentality is basically just being a competitor. Every time the ball's in there, you got to compete because, I mean, this is a sport of the game. It's a competition game. You got to go out there and win and compete. So that mentality, again, turnovers is just, who wants it more? And as a defense, we want the ball more than the other team's offense.
I felt like the secondary has played very well so far. Second half against Illinois State, just 12 passing yards to, at that time, the number 16 team in the country with a very good veteran quarterback.
Yeah, that was definitely, for secondary-wise, a good game. But defensive-wise, we just got to clean up some things. Like I said, the first half we came out kind of slow and sluggish, but the second half we came out more, I guess you say, invigorated, ready to play, and actually ended up doing what we should have been doing in the first half and showed us that we can actually play with them.
Well, this weekend, Kentucky Christian, and some say, well, it's an NAIA school, but I've looked at the numbers. They're putting up a lot of impressive offensive numbers. I think 84 points in 2 games, along with 1,300 total yards, and a lot of those yards have come through the air. They like to chuck it around.
Yes, sir, and that was definitely one of the main things we were focused on our game plan this week defensively, that they are just, a team, they catch it, though they got some big guys at receiver. They're just going to throw them up and have to see who the best athlete is to make plays. And this week, that was our emphasis, to make plays in the ball in the air and to get more turnovers than they have completions.
Well, one of the receivers they have, McCoy, is 6'6". I think he's already caught something like 30 passes or whatever. How do you defend a guy that tall? Because with that wingspan, he can reach up and just snatch balls out of the air.
Well, first, all starts at the line, being more physical than him. If he can't run his route and he misses time to the quarterback, that makes the ball coming out, kind of wobbly or slow, because our defensive line is going to get there. We're going to have pressure on the quarterback. And so basically just being physical at the line, and then the ball's in the air, just wanting the ball more than him and just go making a play.
You're the free safety. You're the guy who's kind of the quarterback in the secondary. Are you working with some of the guys to make sure that they're aligned properly before the plays?
Yes, sir. We go through our, our pre-snap, checks, everything, checking the splits of the receivers and everything like that.
Okay. All right. I understand that you're in veterinary science. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So you've got a nice career ahead of you. What led you into that career?
I just remember ever since I was little. I mean, I've always been around animals. I also had a dog, had a parakeet. I've always loved animals. And I just remember when I was little, in kindergarten, we had like a real graduation ceremony. They actually wanted to do it. I said, I want to be a veterinarian. And I just stuck with that ever since.
It's interesting. We've got a great program here, and I've talked to some people about it, and those who've gone through the program, and they felt well prepared to move into that career path afterwards. You feel pretty good about things moving forward?
Oh, yes, sir, most definitely. Morehead State definitely has a good pre-veterinary program, and I can say I'm very glad that I'm in it.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're a better man than I am when it comes to science, because that was not my forte in high school. I tell people I actually graduated from high school with 5.5 years of English credit, which was good, but only 1.5 years of science. So, if you're looking for me to follow you through the trail as a veterinarian, you're going to need to find somebody else. But it's a great career. My mom was a big animal lover. We had a lot of animals around the house, too. And it's always nice to know that someone like you, a quality person, is going to be moving through that program and taking care of animals for a long time.
So I appreciate that.
Hey, Star, thanks so much. Good luck this weekend against Kentucky Christian.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Take care. Star Hutcherson, redshirt sophomore safety from Fairhope, Alabama, on the show. Come back to talk to Rob Tenyer in just a moment on This Week in Morehead State Athletics. It's This Week in Morehead State Athletics, live from Buffalo Wild Wings in Morehead. I'm Chuck Moraz, joined by MSU football coach Rob Tenyer. Rob, big ball game coming up this weekend, family weekend. A lot of friends and family members, relatives will be in the stands. 4 p.m., Kentucky Christian at Jane Stadium.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Big game for us, just because it's our next game, and family weekend's always a special weekend. Should have a great crowd, be a great venue, and we've had a great week preparation, and we're ready to go play.
Well, the one thing about it, it's a 4 p.m. game. We've had some heat this week. It's going to be hot out on the turf. What types of things do you prepare for that? I know you practice in August. Your preseason practices are in the heat a lot of times, so you feel like your guys are ready for it?
Yeah, I think that you treat it like you treat preseason camp, and what you do is you add a water break or two to your practice. Make sure, you're getting enough to drink because, temperature dropped, and so you lose focus of that a little bit, as far as your intake. And we had to ramp that up a little bit this week, and even though it's 4 o'clock game, it's probably going to be between 78 and 82 degrees at kickoff, and got to make sure we got enough fluids in us and enough gas in the tank to play.
Do you do a little bit more substituting in situations like that?
Possibly, just depending. Depending. It really it comes down to reps and play count on some guys, and we're going to be really cautious of that this week. Guys that just we got some guys coming back from injury and stuff, and so want to be smart. It's more about that than it will be the heat index this week. We've practiced enough in that. We've prepped for that. And like you said, it was an awful hot week. It was like an August week. So we're ready to go and looking forward to it.
Illinois State last week, the number 16 team in the country, now number 12, as I pointed out when I was talking to the guys earlier in the show. And they got off to a 35-0 lead at halftime over your ball club. But the one thing that, and I was talking to Tom Lewis, my color man for the game, about this, I said, I want to see how our guys come out and approach the second half, because that's a key moving forward. How they play, how much energy they play with, and I thought you passed that test with flying colors.
Yeah, I think the thing that as I look back now, I think that we didn't spend halftime trying to motivate our guys to play harder. We made some adjustments, and I think that the third quarter, those were some good adjustments. We played schematically a little better. And we won the third quarter 7-0, and then won the second half 14-7. So that's good. It wasn't an effort issue. We played a really good football team, and they're number 12 in the country. And I'm not sure if they'll stay that high. They got a heck of a schedule and conference that they play in, but they're a really really good football team. And we were just overmanned, and I think in a few key positions and it didn't help our start. We got an awful start to the game, gave up an early score, and then we had a pick six there. It was 14-0 before you could blink your eyes. So, in those type of contests, you got to play well early. You got to settle in. You got to handle, the speed and the size differential, and you got to execute a little better.
We talked about it. The game for them was really won at the line of scrimmage. They have a massive offensive line. I told someone, I said, their left tackle, 6'10", 325.
Yeah.
I said,
might be on the basketball team.
Yeah, probably could be. And then they average, I think, 330 pounds across their offensive line. They're very good. They're very experienced. And they have 2 top-flight running backs behind them. And, with an offensive line that's that good, you can win a lot of football games.
No question. We're not quite where we need to be as far as our size of our front, but we're getting there. And but our kids played hard, and I liked how we defended the run. We gave up some big runs here and there, but outside of that, we ran some things down. We took some good angles, and defensively, I thought we played pretty well, considering how poorly we executed on offense early in the game.
Well, the second half, you talked about it, a much improved performance, and someone might say, well, they had the big lead at halftime. They probably went to their bench pretty liberally, but that really didn't happen. They didn't really start putting in their second and third line guys till into the fourth quarter at some point.
Yeah.
So you really did a good job against their first line guys.
Yeah, and I think, that probably they let their guard down a little bit. They were up 35-0. That tends to happen, but I just like the way the kids played. We competed. Eventually you want to get into those games and you want to be really competitive, Chuck, and that's the goal. And I think we're real close, and we'll see where we go from there.
You told me today earlier when we were sitting and talking, we were recording the pregame show for the ball game on Saturday. You mentioned there's just a different attitude on your sideline, and it's easy to see and feel.
Yeah, I think that we got some really good leadership this year. We got a lot of guys that are invested, and I was a little concerned because we got a lot of new faces, and it's really almost a brand new football team. Now, obviously our captains are guys that have been around the program, been in the program for a while, but we've got some really good leadership, and some of our JUCO guys and transfer guys. I've been really pleased with the leadership and the things that they've brought to our program, and it's made a huge difference. We got a lot of guys that care about it, and you want that to be all the time, but sometimes that's not present. And I know this team that we have this year is about that. And this is important to them, and they want to go out and get better every day. And it's a team that I really enjoy being around. And you don't get to say that all the time, So I look to get to Saturday and I enjoy watching them play and compete right now.
Well, they have a lot of fun playing the game.
Yeah,
don't they?
and they do, and that's important, And I don't know if that's something that we had the last few years, and they get amped up for the games and when they make plays or celebrating together, and it's a fun team to be around. We've got a long ways to go. They know that too, but we're building something good, and the goal is obviously to go out and play better this week than we did week 1, week 2.
You talk about the chemistry being so good with this team, and people debate the chemistry issue inside the locker room one way or another all the time, but how would you assess it? How important is it?
Well, I think, the key, the term I like to use, just accountability. We got a lot of guys that are holding guys accountable, and I think at the end of the day, that's the difference. And I think that our team and our players are policing a lot of things and handling a lot of things, and that's good. And that's what a veteran team does, and so the accountability piece, I think, has been really important. And what I mean by that is when you come to the weight room, you come with a purpose. When you come to practice, you're out there to get 1% better. When you're in meetings, you're in there to have a great meeting and transition to the practice field. And those are the things that we're being accountable with right now. And that's what's going to help you continue to improve weekly. And hopefully when you get into conference play, try and make a statement.
1-1 at this point, and when I look at this team, and through the first 2 games, played a lot of people against Union College, got to play a lot of people at Illinois State. How valuable is that moving forward as you get into conference?
We talked about that a little bit today as a staff. You got to prepare almost a week ahead of time. We know we got to go on the road and travel, so we're talking about some of those things. And we're getting to the point where, it's going to be difficult and we got to cut down to 60 guys. We're going to have some hard decisions on who we take, who we leave at home, and what that does is create a little more competition during the week. And to me, I get excited about that because I know we have a deeper football team, and we got a lot of guys competing to play. So those early reps, the reps that guys are getting right now, are going to be really important. And, Chuck, I shared this with you too. I think, there's always 4 or 5 guys that at some point during the year, whether week 7 or 8 or 9, that are going to end up playing and being very impactful for you. So the things they're doing now in practice or getting some reps in games, that's going to have a lot to do with